Warm welcome to all my fellow gamers. Kalanos here. This is the first video in a series aimed at helping you get the best start in This Land Is My Land in 2025. When choosing a game mode, I suggest choosing Custom. This way you can customize each of the options independently. I do like to leave the tutorial enabled. In addition to the guidance for your first steps, it also provides some easy experience, SP, and a few useful items. In hardcore mode, deaths are the end of your resistance and the save is deleted. We don't want that. I recommend leaving world bosses enabled. They offer a bit of a challenge and some of the best weapons. Boss rush and train rush can be useful for some scenarios, but I'd leave them alone for your first resistance. Reputation is increased when you knock out settlers and intimidate them instead of killing them. Killing lowers your reputation. There are some in-game traders who prefer good karma, and there are some that prefer bad karma. And it also affects how eager neutral tribes are to join your tribe. I personally don't think reputation adds much to the game, but feel free to experiment here. You do get an extra 5% SP for leaving it enabled. Note that disabling it does not disable awareness, which controls how hostile settlers are and grows when you kill them. For realism, I recommend leaving both damage and needs disabled for your first playthrough, unless you're a die-hard survival fan and just really want that extra challenge. This tutorial assumes it's off and won't cover the additional mechanics introduced by those options. I do, however, like to require a campfire for crafting for the bonus 10% SP, but this means no crafting meds or ammo on the fly, so choose whichever you prefer. Since the map itself never actually changes, the world size also doesn't change, and based on what I could find online, I believe this setting makes the enemy occupy less territory at the start if you choose a smaller size, but I always leave it at default. Feel free to experiment here and comment with your findings below. For the day length, I like to choose the longest option so the enemy expands slower relative to my own progress, but it's not necessary. You can take your time and expand slowly, and the game isn't going to rush you. I leave both realistic nights and weather disabled, but feel free to play around with them as you like. Weather can give advantages for stealth in the rain, etc., but it can also be rather annoying. Enemy reaction time will make things much more challenging if enabled, as will disabling the detection indicator. Realistic HUD is similarly going to make things harder. I leave it disabled. Fast travel is odd in this game. It's not really quick. It passes a lot more time than if you just rode there on your horse, but it does freeze the position of units on the map, so it can be useful if you need to get in front of a cav rush headed for your camps or something of that nature. I usually avoid fast travel, but I do leave it enabled just in case of emergency. And finally, the world seed can be set in the bottom left if you want. This can be useful for recreating the same world for a subsequent playthrough. The map terrain is always the same, and the names are always randomized, but the seed determines the placement of regions and settlements. You don't need to specify one if you're okay with randomly generated ones. Seeds are always going to be 6 characters if you do. After the loading screen, you'll find yourself in the back of a prison train. Press Enter and choose a name for your chief. This will be the name of the resistance and the chief. Choosing a name is important. After typing a name, you can click on each of the animal icons below it to see what combination of bonuses are available for that name. Play around with it long enough and you can find some pretty good combinations. The bonuses do change every month, so asking in chat for some good names for that current month can be extremely helpful. The one we're using here came from Fuzzy Smile, in fact. Thank you, Fuzzy. The most popular bonuses are probably health and weight. Max skinning is fairly popular as well, and is a favorite of my own. The other ones I don't usually choose unless it's part of an unconventional plan or a special purpose resistance. You'll find that the best bonuses are almost always the 4 animals on the far right side of the screen, but these bonuses also come with penalties. Some penalties are not too bad and can be overcome easily. Negative warriors, for instance, matters very little as you'll get more soon enough. A lower or even the lowest starting camp size is probably the next best negative, and a penalty to stamina is also acceptable in my opinion, but that can be a handicap starting out if you're not careful. So thanks to Fuzzy Smile, we have a really nice bonus to health that will help immensely, especially at the start, and we also have max skinning, which is huge. We also get max herbalism, which I don't really care about, and we'll take a hit to stamina, which isn't as bad as it seems since stamina has a minimum allowable level and the penalty will be capped. When choosing a location, you're given options for a normal, hard, or insane start. All this really does is decide what area of the map you're going to spawn on. Normal means forest, hard will be the plains, and insane, the desert. The forest is the farthest from the railroad and the thickest concentration of enemy camps, while the desert is the closest. I'd stick with a normal start for your first playthrough.